Gamers, we are back with another video talking about Skirk. Dap me up, yo, welcome in local, dap me up, homie. And VarsII dropped a video, the problem with Skirk's design. Now, I made a similar video when Skirk got leaked, genuinely, saying that I don't like the fact that this is such a character that is so sought after, and pretty much she's a massive disappointment. She's locked to cryo and hydro elements, and to my understanding, I don't even think her passives work with melt, I believe, so, right? I believe it's melt that they said it doesn't work with. So it just feels like really bad game design for a character that's supposed to be so well known, and really unfortunate. So we're going to go into this, see what the deal is, and listen to my man VarsII.
Every year in Genshin Impact is characterized by a few months of extreme hype starting around August or September, which continues into early next year as the Archon quest concludes. Then throughout most of late winter, spring, and early summer, the supposed filler nature of the game's events and versions throughout that time results in nothing.
Solo reaction character? Well, the thing is like, okay, when you look at Mavica is able to be played in so many different teams. Granted, obviously Mavica like power creeps everything. That's just like a fact. But Mavica can play in a million fucking teams. With Skirk, not only it's a significant loss without a Scaffier, but you're stuck to that one team, right? I know a lot of people are going to try to make a false equivalency to Kartethia. With Kartethia, first of all, Arrow Rover's free, but you could do just enough damage and be fine with just Verena Sanhua. Now, clearly, if you run Arrow Rover, it's a lot better, and you get the fucking free premium swords. There's no reason not to run it, but you don't need to do that. You're not locked to one specific playstyle. There's people using Kartethia, Shorekeeper, Chang Li. No synergy at all, because Kartethia is such a self-sufficient unit, while Skirk is a unit that people have been dying for. People have been waiting for Skirk, and they lock her behind a single element, and obviously her best in slot, giving her 35+% increase. So yeah, Skirk is more strict. yeah, pretty much.
Know where the import taking place. Yeah. But on multiple occasions in the past, one of those quote-unquote filler versions would feature a compelling diversion from the main story and/or the inclusion of a high-profile character to drive excitement for a short time. Back in version 2 and 4, we had the arrival of Xilonen and Arlecchino, two very strong and appealing units that also coincided with an appealing side story expansion. This time around in 5.7, we're getting someone who, ever since we knew of her, drew a lot of attention and many questions as to what form she would take in game, considering her otherworldly nature, not unlike Dainsleif. Child's mentor Skirk has made...
You know what? I'm going to give you a hot take. I'm happy she's not Quantum. I am. Because with the leaks of how I believe this new element is going to be going, I don't trust them to create new elements, new elemental reactions, and make them good. Let me rephrase that. Make them balanced, make them universal. So the fact that she's not Quantum, I think, is okay. And if Dainsleif isn't going to be Quantum either, I think that's fine too. I think it sucks. Obviously, but I don't think they would do a good job of balancing this at all. I think they would find a way to shill it, and I think they would genuinely just lock it behind a paywall. So I know people are disappointed, and I was disappointed in that myself, but thinking about it, I'm more disappointed in the design than anything. I trust them about as far as I can throw them. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I thought she looked more mature. Yeah, I mean...
made a debut in Genshin, sparking a fair bit of interest in the game that compounds off of the uncharacteristic expansion of Mondstadt the version prior. But unlike Arlecchino and Xilonen, who were unanimously appreciated for their strength and versatility, Skirk has a few qualities to her that could potentially impact her reception from a gameplay point of view, and I'll be covering that in this video.
Now 2.0, yeah.
The previous character that came out was Escoffier, a sub-DPS cryo character with the ability to not only heal the party, but greatly shred enemy hydro and cryo resistance, far beyond what any other singular unit could achieve in the past. Escoffier's goal consolidation and power ceiling was so great that she alone elevated Ayaka, Ganyu, and Risley from decent but not all that noteworthy to meta-relevant high tiers once again. Her very inclusion broke an almost 2-year-long ice age affecting the cryo element. Objectively, buffing older characters who struggle in the meta due to circumstance is a good thing, and I'm glad Hoyo's making an effort.
Escoffier is not the problem. I want to make this very clear. Them creating a character to bring up older units, I think, is very solid. That is not the problem. The problem is Skirk's talents going from, I think it's 10, 15 to 70% of an increase if you run a Scaffier or some shit. something along those lines, and that's a problem. Or I think it's a Scoffier's talents, one of them. That's an issue. And yeah, it's just not good. It's not good
to keep older generation DPS units in a viable state. However, a potentially huge downside to Escoffier's inclusion is that she runs the risk of bottlenecking the cryo element. Her supportive utility in conjunction with her personal damage are so high for a single character that future units in that niche will inevitably have to be balanced around that so as not to upset the balance of the game entirely. Why that poses a problem is because it leads to a catch-22 situation. On one hand, freeze-oriented DPS characters have to be kept at a certain power level so as to avoid getting overbuffed by Escoffier and outperforming the competition. It wouldn't be a very good move in terms of optics for the unit in question to beat over Mavuika, the current best DPS in the game, especially if they themselves are not an Archon or high-profile character, and more importantly, so soon after she just came out. Genshin is power creeping as of late, no denying that, but a move like this would feel simply too ostentatious and in bad taste. On the other hand, however, the hypothetical cryo DPS would need to have a considerably low baseline if we accounted for the extra power and comfortability that Escoffier could provide to them, consequently being a unit whose entire usage and pull value is contingent on a specific character. It would be one thing if a unit needs a general support like Verina, Kosaha, or Xilonen to be effective, it's another to need a hyper-specific unit with minimal splashability, let alone possibly two. It would take only one patch for that concern to be proven right. Enter Skirk, our newest DPS unit and a cryo one at that. Now the thumbnail of the video says wasted potential, and I'm sure a number of you were thinking it was in reference to her element. That is certainly a part of it. When the community first laid eyes on her, even among Genshin's colorful cast of unique designs, Skirk was especially attention-grabbing in many ways. Her ethereal, otherworldly, and distorted color scheme bore a striking resemblance to Dainsley, both of whom looked like they weren't a part.
Dude, doesn't Dainsley from the Archon Quest have like a quantum-ish type element? Like it's dark, it's black, like it's not like a normal element. So I don't know what's gonna happen with him. I don't know. By that time, maybe they might make a new fucking element. But again, I kind of don't really trust them to do that, regardless. So dark blue color and Dainsley, yeah, some shit like that. So clearly they weren't ready for that with Skirk. Instead, they wanted to shill Escoffier, right, because of the talent stuff. So. It's just like, bro, it's just sad. It's just sad to see. It makes me sad.
Part of any known region of Teyvat or even channel one of the 7 elements. The player base was led to believe, if and when they were eventually made playable, that they could potentially introduce an altogether new element given their ties to the Abyss and its unique dark blue violet aesthetic. You can imagine parts of the fandom couldn't help but feel disappointed at the fact that she would just be yet another cryo character. Granted, she didn't have to represent a new element, but it would have most definitely turned a lot more heads and raised a whole bunch of interesting theories and questions on the future of Genshin Impact's gameplay. Whether we would have gotten a big expansion of possibly multiple new elements the same way Honkai Star Rail introduced a new Remembrance Path and is heavily foreshadowing the release of more later on. In defense of Hoyo, I can see why they prefer to wait until we get like a full version update.
Holy shit, he's a Flip fan! Holy shit, he watched Flip! In defense of Hoyo! Holy fucking shit! Oh my god. If they do a quantum element, they need to make a universal type element that can fit in most comps. It's not gonna happen. It'll never fucking happen, man. If they do a quantum element, it's gonna be fucking dog shit. What does that mean? What does that mean? I have no idea what that means. But yeah, no, they're not going to do that.
Similarly to how they held off on Danger units until version 3. In my video on Genshin needing new elements, I talked about how there would need to be major restructuring of elemental reactions and interactions.
They haven't even made Geo good. Like, their excuse for Geo of being relevant now is Navia. And while Navia is fucking awesome, and I love Navia, Navia does not make Geo good. Navia is just fucking strong because she can pick up the crystals and she just has fucking crazy multipliers. Navia runs, you don't want to really run Mono Geo with her. You run Navia, one other Geo, and then you run, like, let's say Farina, Shanglang, Benny Shanglang, whatever the case may be. Navia is absolutely very cool, 100%. But what happened to every other motherfucker? Like, what happened to every other motherfucker? Geo has no use. It has no fucking use. I'm sorry. Ito's not fun to play. Ito, I think, is fucking, I think he's clunky as hell, and it just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good. Geo is left in the dust, absolutely. Absolutely. The only good Geo character is Zhongli and Navia. You know, I mean, some people might say Chiori. Chiori in some cases might be good, I guess. But again, realistically speaking, most people have Farina. You just put Farina there. Farina's more universal, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. Albedo's really not that great either. I'm the best Geo character. Well, you're definitely You're definitely the best something. I can't say what it is. What up, Athoma? Can we get a fat shout out of Athoma? Love you, baby. Animo a bit too. No, Animo's always strong. Animo will always be strong because of Kazuha. Like, fucking... The Animo DPSs... Like, Wanderer needing what's-his-face. You know what? Chaska exists too, though. Chaska's pretty fucking busted. So, no, I think Animo's in a way better spot. I think Animo's doing pretty okay, actually. I think it's Geo and... What the fuck is Electro doing? I know VarsII came out, but... You know? But yeah.
Interactions if they were ever to add an 8th, 9th, 10th element and so on. And I feel like it would have been too much of a hassle and too weird of a time to release a unit with the new element right in the middle of the filler period of a version. Still though, one of the most enigmatic units in Genshin's storyline turning out to be just a cryo DPS kinda leaves you wondering if they missed out on a golden opportunity.
Oh, I got the answer for you,
We'll talk about Skirk's gameplay now. Given the fact that the protege child has two differing, practically mutually exclusive playstyles based on what form he's in, his mistress also conducts a dual playstyle. Though she belongs to one of the 7 elements, Skirk is by no means an ordinary character. We'll open up with her elemental burst, Havoc, Ruin. You'll notice immediately that, like Mavuika, Skirk's ultimate does not rely on energy, instead her own Serpent Subtlety resource, making her the second unit in Genshin to have a non-energy based mechanic. Although fortunately, unlike...
I believe this is where it comes in where she can't use pyro characters. She can't use melt reaction, right? Or not melt, what is it called? I'm sorry. There's melt, and... Oh yeah, no, it is melt. I was thinking of vaporize. Yeah, she can't use melt.
Mavuika, you don't have to rely on external sources to power this one up.
Vapor melt, whatever the fuck it's
you
called.
You can activate it for a big blast of damage in an area, and when she's in a special skill mode, she gets a different elemental burst that instead powers her normal attacks for a short time. Functionally speaking, Serpent Subtlety is the same as Night Soul. It behaves as a gas tank for not only activating her ultimate, but powering her entire kit in general, and there are 2 ways to get it. First is by activating her skill, Havoc Warp, immediately replenishing 45 Subtlety and entering a stance, providing a new set of attacks that deal modified damage. While in this mode, she drains 7 Subtlety per second, meaning her skill alone will give her at least 6 seconds of uptime and change. But she can extend the duration by absorbing void risks that spawn around the field, supplementing her resource farm and augmenting her attacks. We'll talk about void risks in a little bit. Speaking of attacks, you may have taken notice of the fact that Skirk's base scaling is incredible. All of her attacks deal upwards of 2 to 350% in damage, giving you an idea of the kind of numbers we're dealing with. This is definitely in line with the power scaling of 3rd generation units, if not more so. By the way, for those wondering, I consider 3rd generation DPS characters to be post-Novelette. People were asking in my prior videos what I meant by 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Novelette was kind of struggling this Abyss though. Yeah, Novelette was a little struggling with this Abyss, you know what I'm saying? Bro was kind of going through it. It's a little rough.
It's not a colloquial term, just something I came up with. Anyway, back to her elemental burst. Using it without her skill results in a blast of cryo damage that increases in power for every point of subtlety you have past 50, up to a cap of 12, so 62 points or higher. When done so, Havoc Ruin has a base scaling of 221% times 5 and then 368.3%. But if you have 62 subtlety or more, she adds an additional 417.36% to each instance of damage in her ultimate. Keyword each, meaning all 6 attacks of Havoc Ruin gain that multiplier, pushing her elemental burst damage to a staggering total of almost 4,000%. No two ways about it, she hits like a truck. But there's a secondary component to her elemental burst. If you cast the skill beforehand, it goes from Havoc Ruin to Havoc Extinction, which doesn't cost any subtlety to use. However, instead of dealing damage, it simply draws the nearby void risk to empower her normal attack damage during this time, up to 20% if you absorb 3. Basically, on one hand you have a giant front-loaded screen nuke that explodes everything all at once, and on the other hand you spread that damage out across the length of her skill for more consistent damage. Both have their places, but that about summarizes the length of Skirk's playstyle.
That's cool.
You either use her skill to power up her ultimate for an explosion, or you use her ultimate to power up her skill for consistent DPS. Onto her essential...
Bro got to that part and only had 40 seconds left. That's how you know this Abyss is dog shit. Even Vars is out here struggling. Vars only had 40 seconds left by the time that fucking monster came up. This new Abyss is fucking cancer. It's dog shit. It's fucking ass.
Passive talents, of which there are 3 to talk about. First and foremost, her unique skill. When all party members are Hydro or Cryo and there's at least 1 of each, everyone gets 1 more level on their elemental skill. After so long, we finally got someone else besides Child who can raise attack talent levels. Shame it's only on freeze teams though. Now to actually discuss what Void Rifts are. Her A1 passive passes, so when cryo reactions that aren't melt are triggered, a Void Rift is created that chills on the field for a bit, kinda like a source water droplet. When Skirk uses her charged attack, Havoc Extinction, or...
Unless you have Mavuika, that is true, because then you could just do fucking 1,000,000 damage the way I did. Yep.
For her whole skill, she absorbs these rifts.
Dude, this is the part. When a nearby party member triggers frozen, superconduct, cryo, swirl, or cryo crystallized reactions against an opponent, a void rift will be created. So frozen, water, superconduct, electro, cryo, swirl, cryo, crystallize. When she hits an opponent with a charge attack in her 7-phase mode, when she uses the special elemental, blah, 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 Skirk can go through the following message to absorb them.
Each providing 8 subtlety points, and of course if you use Havoc Extinction, it also empowers the normal attack damage. So in total, through skill and day 1 passive, Skirk is able to acquire up to 69 Serpent Subtlety in a given rotation. By this point, you guys might be wondering where the hell are the red flags in her kit, because so far it looks like there's nothing all that wrong with her. Well, it's because the red flag is in her A4. When Hydro or Cryo party members besides Skirk deal damage to enemies, she gains a stack for 20 seconds, up to a maximum of 3. Each party member can only contribute 1 stack, which means every party member has to be either Hydro or Cryo. When done so, Skirk's normal attack damage dealt by her skill and the explosion damage on Havoc Ruin are increased by 110, 120.
Dude, this is so fucking ass. You cannot tell me this is not a to show characters. Like, you just can't, you know? The endgame is absolute radioactive dog shit. It makes sense, right? She needs to be doing these numbers because otherwise she wouldn't be compete with the damage numbers of Mavica. Well, the thing is, if they didn't just lock her to just Cryo and Hydro, it wouldn't be dog shit, right? If they would allow her to use other units and whatnot, it'd be kind of be okay. Here's the problem with her. This is the problem. If you don't have a Scoffier, then you go fuck yourself. You could use, like, Shenhe. I mean, first of all, who the fuck wants to get Shenhe? But okay, like, you could use Shenhe, or like you could throw like Chongyun or some bullshit, but it is going to be a massive loss because, you know, Scoffier's fucking talent is nutty. Hopefully he covers this as well. But for such a, like, Neuvillette has such a diverse team composition. Farina is used everywhere. Arlecchino, the reason why Arlecchino was leagues and leagues and bounds ahead of Hu Tao is due to the fact that Arlecchino could be used in almost any different team composition. Skirk can't do that. They had a Scoffier buff everyone else. They didn't need to just lock this down to one fucking thing. It was a massive misfire on their part. A massive fucking misfire. Shit was ass. Unfortunate. It's just really bad. It's inherently floating restrictive new heights like damn. Absolutely, Khalid. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
20 or 170 and 105, 115, and 160% of the original damage respectively. So when you take this into account, Skirk's normal attack scaling can escalate to well past 400 to 500% per strike, giving her some of the highest raw attack scaling in the game. As well as mentioned, almost 4,000% elemental burst crosses to well over 6,000%. We've really come a long way since version 1 to say the least. Skirk's Elemental Burst outclasses a full 30 stack Lightful Sword Burst from Eula by a wide margin, only it's much easier to obtain and no energy cost. This also comes with the implication that Skirk can beat out Ayaka in front-loaded DPS. Point for point, her C0 Burst does equal if not more front-loaded damage than Ayaka's C2 Burst. In essence, if you have a full freeze team, Skirk shits out damage like she's the main character of the anime because if the circumstances align, she pretty much
Dude, look at his fucking time! Dude, look at his fucking time on that clear, bro. 7, and I'm not shitting on Vars. I'm just saying this fucking Abyss is dog shit. Bro's time is crazy. 7 minutes and 14 seconds, and he's fucking using Skirk's best in slot fucking team. What? Like what? Holy shit.
She pretty much is. The downside is what it takes to get to her ceiling. I want to first preface by saying I'm aware every character has a best in slot team that performs immeasurably better than whatever alternative options they have. A common rebuttal I often get is that a DPS character like Neuvillette greatly enjoys having the X-Hydro Archon on his team, and would unsurprisingly be worse off without her. That is true, but part of what makes his case a bit different is not only the marginal difference between his best in slot and number 2, but also the supposed party versatility of the supports involved. His best team by my estimate consists of Farina, Kosuha, and Xilonen. All 3 of them can be splashed into multiple different engines, meaning there's more incentive than just Neuvillette to go after these supports. And even if you don't go after them, the minimum value he provides makes him a very high functioning unit, whereas the more niche DPS like Kanish has a lower value rating by way of his hyper-specific playstyle, making him significantly worse in perception despite being equally as capable. Skirk encounters a similar issue. The nature of her Ascension talents pigeonholes her into a highly restrictive team composition consisting of only Hydro and Cryo. Not the first we've seen in this constraint, as Nilou enjoyed a very successful career in spite of hers. A privilege afforded to the latter though.
Hold up, my camera. Alright, camera's back. Boom.
Is how flexible and accommodating her party needs were. No such luck
I
for
appreciate
the
follow, brother.
To start, early calculations of Skirk's best team as an investment slot party put her behind only Mavuika in strength. In other words, she convincingly out-DPSs the entire rest of the competition.
True.
No small feat in light of the murderous row of Natlan hybrid carries given to us over the past.
Dude, if she out-DPSs everyone else that literally just came out except Mavuika, Mualani technically could be better than Nervalette in certain situations. Kaniche is fucking amazing. Chaska melts fucking everything in her way. And Varissa's really great. The fact that she's already better than all these motherfuckers. I mean, like, okay. You know? Yeah, I know. The Ice JJ Fish community is coming at me. That's just fucking insane design. And all of these people are technically better than like Nervalette and shit, right? Like, obviously Nervalette's easier to use, and these are a little bit, maybe, you know, Kaniche might be a little bit harder, or like Mualani's clunky as fuck, but holy shit. Wait, he right hasn't playing what? Oh, dope.
Past year. Additionally, her party's stringent requirements make finding the rest of her culture quite difficult, especially for free-to-play players. I will go on record to say Dahlia, who came out alongside her, was blatantly meant to be playing with her and can be quite handy in that department. Skirk's normal attack-centric playstyle entails the potential of benefiting from attack speed augments, of which Dahlia specializes in. However, for him to earn a position as one of Skirk's best-in-slot party members, you'll need to, unsurprisingly, get him up to C6 for a total of 30% attack speed. When accounting for the impressive defensive utility he offers in addition to that, C6 Dahlia can be of greater benefit than 5-star alternatives like Support Silali and Shunhe. Therein lies a critical issue,
I agree,
the potential
bro.
cost of a max Constellation 4-star.
I don't know why a motherfucker want to play Dahlia. Just the NPC Elden Ring Dahlia? Bro, it's fucking ass. Dahlia is like one of the worst fucking characters, like just straight up, I think I've ever seen. Bro throws a bouncy fucking house on the floor. Okay. Like, really? Like, this is your king. This is supposed to be your best in slot. Dahlia looks mid. Dahlia is mid, brother. Dahlia looks like a fucking femboy.
Depending on your luck, like, or should I say absence of it, pulling 7 copies of a 4-star could be substantially more cost prohibitive than.
There was literally someone who earlier today. I wish I could find the tweet. Actually, no, I can't find the tweet. Hold on, I'll find it right fucking now. Someone spent $400. Oh, 400 pulls on Dahlia. 400 pulls. They got C1. They got C1, by the way. 400 pulls on Dahlia. And then Bran Online said we need 4-star pity, and people attacked him because they're fucking stupid. Why? Because they wanted Dahlia C6 to get that 30% attack increase. 400 pulls. Game's dog shit. That's a problem with a lot of games. But Genshin's still dog shit.
Than landing a single 5-star, and while it isn't explicitly necessary for you to max Dahlia to have him support Skirk effectively, the fact remains if you're trying to aim for optimal results, he may very well be even more difficult to acquire than a 5-star.
Than Skirk
That's
themselves.
Assuming you have Escoffier. Dahlia is only best in slot, heck, only usable if you have Escoffier, since if you don't, you'll need to find another healing unit to power fanfare stacks. Skirk's projected best party consists of herself, Escoffier, Dahlia, and Verina. If you don't have Escoffier though, trying to build a strong team becomes even tougher, since your only options for DPS boosting healers are Mika and Charlotte, who are far from optimal units in their own right.
They won't be able to get enough
Skirk's best team without Escoffier consists of herself, Mika, Farina, and supports Solali, which, on top of being a serious downgrade from her best, requires you to withdraw Solali from Mavuika if you were planning to use her for that team. If you don't want to do that, your remaining options are Yelan and Shunhe, both 5-star units, only adding more fuel to the fire of needing hyper-specific units just for this one DPS character.
Dude, this is disastrous.
So I don't think anyone wants to pull for her. Putting it bluntly, not having a Escoffier will severely hamstring Skirk's party options on account of being limited to only the character pool of 2 elements, not 7, as well as most good options in that pool being units with minimal if any splashability outside of her team, or units who are more needed in another team. Just how worse off is Skirk without the aid of Escoffier though? Broadly speaking, without the head chef, Skirk's DPS goes from being the best in the game, if not tied with the best in the game, to on the level of current Natlan DPS teams, says Mavuika, kind of proving my concern back in the Escoffier video that Skirk has to be kept intentionally underpowered or completely dependent on Escoffier to not disrupt the metagame too much. We're talking about.
I think like Hoyoverse just generally doesn't know how to balance any of their games, you know? Like this is just such a common problem that we have where it's like at this point, man, like I really like. Yo, what's good, Orpheus? I appreciate the follow, dog. Thank you, man. Dap me up, dap me up. Thank you, man. Means the world to me. I really like Skirk as a Tartaglia main. I would go for it, but restrictive team killed it for me. I vehemently hate that shit. I bought Skirk. I mean, I got Skirk with the primos that Dam's got for me, by playing my game and shit. And realistically, I can't even fucking use her. I'm gonna build her with Xilonen, Farina, and I guess Charlotte. She's gonna fucking suck. It's like, what was the point? Well, I just wasted fucking like 28,000 primo gems. Like, okay. Like, I'm cooked. Like, I'm fucking cooked. Like, I'm just fucking cooked. Right? I'm just fucking cooked. That's what it comes down to. I'm fucking cooked.
About a 35% difference
Holy
between
shit.
a party with and without Escoffier. They're deliberately keeping Skirk from going any higher than she is, all because Escoffier would make her stronger than Mavuika, which Hoyo doesn't really want to do for a non-lore prominent character, even though it's implied that Skirk can easily go toe-to-toe with Archons. That to me is the true wasted potential of the character. Skirk was built up to be one of the most threatening characters in the game in power, shrouded by mystery because of her abyssal origins, and yet in-game she comes out as just another cryo unit with a kit that is strong, don't get me wrong, but under the stipulation that you get all these peripheral units, many of whom can't be used for any other niche besides hers. I wouldn't be so hard on this if Escoffier could be used in other teams, giving her more pull value, but the quote-unquote alternative to Skirk is Ayaka, who's in the same exact role as her, begging the question,
might as well,
why even
if you
go for
have
Skirk in the
Ayaka,
first place?
don't go Skirk.
That's
Yeah,
not to say she doesn't have options besides Escoffier, but none of them come anywhere close in comparability. Some of you might ask, is this not the best way to manage power creep?
Ayaka could literally run a bunch of other fucking team compositions, you know? So much worse in every way. Yeah, Ayaka is so much worse. Like, Ayaka's fucking gameplay is horrible. Yo, what's good, what's good? I would have said this with, like, Zany if Hydro MC was good. If Hydro MC? Yeah, I mean, if the Hydro MC was good, that'd be awesome, right? Temp also was good, man. Dap me up. Like, if the Hydro MC was not a piece of trash that fucking goes through everything, it'd be fine. It would literally not be a non-issue at all, but unfortunately, that's what it is. And so the philosophy behind it, Snoo, is that Ayaka has more diversity in her builds, and well, let me rephrase that, her team compositions. She can run Melt, she can run Freeze, etc. You can't do that with Skirk, right? And if you have a Escoffier, do you really need Skirk at that point? You know? What's good, Chibi? Hold on. Permafreeze Ayaka's goated. It was back then. I don't know about now.
While still releasing quality characters.
Yeah, I know Asmongold's playing What Win Waves.
1v9ers. It would be if Genshin was a game that lets you have every single unit for free. Unfortunately, since 5-star units cost hundreds of dollars to acquire, not only do you have to go through the trouble of pulling the main DPS in question, but for those who don't already have them, they have to then go out of their way to pull for more characters, of whom you can't extract any value of outside of being used alongside Skirk, since any other candidate overlaps in function with her. To build this party from scratch, you have to C6 a brand new 4-star and have already pulled a 5-star support the version prior, just to get her to her strongest point.
Yeah.
I understand Genshin doesn't expect you to go that far to complete the game's content, but it's the same as buying a car that can drive 200 kilometers an hour, but you can only drive half that speed unless you pay extra. Then what was the point of buying the car? It doesn't feel good to be gated from a huge portion of a DPS unit's power.
Let them know, cook them.
Bottom line is, Skirk might be the only character in Genshin for a long time with a power ceiling high enough to contest Mavuika, who totally overshadowed every other unit in the game prior to her arrival. However, it's behind a paywall with quite possibly one of the worst value propositions I've seen in a very long time. I made a big fuss over Mavuika when she first came out for punishing players who didn't pull for Xilonen and Zolali, and it's the same here. If you didn't pull Escoffier, you're locked out of a third of Skirk's maximum strength. To add insult to injury, none of the recent high-profile supports work on her, so for accounts who don't have Mika or Shunhe or Yelan, the former two being units, no one has had any pragmatic reason to keep an eye on, and the
I want to ask a question, like what, like there's no way, there's no other reason than corporate greed is why they did this. That's it. And if you defend this, you're a fucking idiot. It's just it is what it is, man. In defense of Hoyoverse, I think Hoyo gave out more pulls per patch to this. Honestly, it would be a problem, so they had a better chance of getting people. Yeah, well, cheaper. They only give about 50 to 70 pulls, right? Like I'll probably make a video on the poll distribution, but this is fucking insane. Like this is insanity. This is fucking horrible. This is only reason this is occurring is corporate greed. That's it. That's it. Can't even get you to hard pity. No, it can't even get you 1 5-star. Fucking ass.
The latter not having gotten a rerun in basically a year, you're out of luck for the time being. To reiterate, none of them are best in slot teammates. You have to go through this much trouble for downgrade options.
Yeah.
It's no wonder Genshin players have to pay attention to leaks multiple versions into the future. How is anyone supposed to build a party restrictive unit without knowing months in advance what teammates they'll need? Again, if we could get these characters year-round, that's one thing, but sometimes units don't get featured again for upwards of a year. I don't mind characters of this specific niche, I find them to be quite creative. But if you make them specific and party stringent without giving players enough latitude in dealing with it, it just doesn't feel good to pull for Skirk right now. Anyway, the video is getting very long, so I'll end it off here. For all I know, this can age like milk, and similarly to
absolutely,
Malvika,
sir. What you said 100%, but people are going to cry over that. You can't tell me a gaming company where $22 billion doesn't have a dedicated team to balance their characters to it. I agree. Corpo greed, game killing, absolutely. They just want more money, and the people who try to portray it as something different. Yeah, but this video is going to stop someone from downloading the game and pulling Skirk. Listen, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Free will, man. Yo, it was good to see. At the end of the day, I mean, Hoyoverse continues to shoot themselves in the foot, and everyone who defends it like it's the fucking second coming of Christ looks like a fucking idiot. And I actually take happiness in the fact that the second Flip drops his video, not only do they fuck up the artifact system horrendously, but they drop Skirk, who is honestly fucking dog shit without a Scaffier. I think that's awesome. I think it adds to the fucking... I think it adds to the fact that you just are goofy as fuck. Don't defend a company. Don't defend Wuwa. Don't defend Hoyo. Don't defend Arcanite's Enfield. Whatever they... Don't defend these companies. They don't care about you. They don't. They don't care about you. I think it's very poetic. I genuinely do.
We'll get more accessible support for her soon. I honestly hope she does. Let me know your thoughts on Skirk in the comments down below, whether you agree or disagree with my points. But for now, if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at VarsII, join my Discord server, and if you haven't yet, feel free to watch my review on Skaffier for more context. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
WVars video. Everybody go follow Vars. Vars is cool as fuck. Really, really stepped the fuck up after that Woo shit. So with that being said, boys, I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.